things that you said, okay, Ray, was you had to sell yourself. You had to sell yourself to football, to college coaches. Talk about the importance of knowing how to sell yourself.
Very important, especially if you're not a superstar, you don't have the spotlight on you. That's one thing. I wasn't like a five-star athlete coming out of high school. I was a good athlete. I was under the radar, so not only my highlight tape and my game film spoke for myself, but I had to speak myself up as well. So
Mm,
when contacting coaches or when coaches contacted me, it wasn't like a for sure thing, like a
mm,
five-star athlete. When you're a five-star athlete, everybody's lined up at your door.
yeah,
You don't have to sell yourself. The coaches are selling their program and themselves to you at that point. But it was a complete opposite for me. So I had to sell myself. And the importance of that is just having that confidence,
mm,
and what you say can make or break your future.
mm.
So you have to be very meticulous. You have to just really focus on what you want the outcome to be, and just execute basically.
I
So
love that.
that's one thing. Just being confident, knowing what you could bring to the table, and making sure you could articulate what you could bring to the table.
I love it. I love it because that is something that is very important into making the transition into sales as well that we're going to hit on. So you talked about college because something that we talk about on this channel as well too is college. You played football in
Yeah.
college. What did you
Yeah.
major in college, and what did you graduate with in college?
So I majored in communications
Mhm.
with a minor in psychology.
Got it.
So yeah, graduated with about a 3.0. The again that whole experience was pretty interesting because I had to juggle multiple things at once, which really helped me prepare for the tech sales career. Honestly, because being a college athlete, not only do you just go to school like a regular student, but the uh, you have to keep a certain level of academia, so
Mm,
you can't fall below a certain grade point average, or you'll be suspended from the team. Had to attend all type of film study, especially playing quarterback. Had workouts in the morning, had film study. So doing all these things and game preparation. So doing all these things was something that I had to juggle, and I was successful with. And like I said, that just prepared me for my tech sales career.
wonderful, wonderful. No, that's wonderful, man. So talk about this, right? Trying to find your place outside of college. You graduated college, you got the communications psychology degree. You chose those degrees, right? And I'm assuming you chose those degrees
Yeah.
because they were degrees that, were complemented you as being a student athlete as well. Wasn't too difficult, wasn't too hard, but what was the plan after college, right? You got those degrees. What was the plan after college? Did you think about your career after college or while you was in college? What did you have in mind that you would be doing after college? Okay, Ray.
To be honest, I was just like a lot of college athletes. I wasn't really preparing for my future,
Mm,
professionally, because it just wasn't something that was on my radar.
mm,
I was really focused on the now, and really was trying to hope and invest in, or maybe having a professional career outside of college.
mm.
So when I graduated and realized that wasn't going to happen, I was like, okay, it's time to, really hit the pavement and start grinding. So like I said, I started off with the personal training business. Was always an entrepreneur, even when I was a little kid. I was a kid that was cutting grass, knocking on doors, pet sitting, doing all type of things like that. So I always had an entrepreneur spirit. So that was the first thing I fell back on when I graduated college. And like my dad, he's an IT professional, been in the IT space for 20 plus years. And speaking to him and a lot of his buddies, tech was always the place to go and the route to go. But I never saw myself investing all that time and getting certified and so on and so forth.
Mm.
So, when I found out about tech sales, I was like, hey, it's a no brainer. So, but I mean, just going reiterating back on the fact that I really didn't know what was going to happen once I graduated college. So everything just kind of organically worked out for me.
Good, good. No, that's wonderful. So that's wonderful that you said you had the entrepreneurship mindset. A lot of people who go into sales, that's the mindset that they have. Ultimately, they want to run their own business. They want to run their own show. They want to, learn the skills that they need in order for them to go out and do something on their own. And I think if that is of interest to, people who are watching this show today, consider a career in sales. So you did the personal fitness journey. Then you started to do, you said waiting and staff, a bartending, waiting. Talk about your transition after, the personal training career.
So after personal training, I dibble and dabbled in a lot of different things, in particularly being a waiter. So very, very humble experience. And that's another thing outside of playing chess. I would advise people to, if you're starting off in your career, to try to get into some type of waiting or bartending or something like that, because it's a very humble experience. And it's something that you can reflect back on and be like, hey, if I did that, I could do anything. Because the experiences that you go through when it comes to working as a team, because you got to think about it, a restaurant is huge. You have the front of the house, then you have the back of the house, then you have management. So that's something that I definitely encourage people to do, just to develop certain skills that you could utilize in your professional career. So after that, I also was a security guard, for a short period of time. Like I said, substitute teaching, did all type of age groups. I grew up with two younger sisters, so I was used to, leading younger kids. And that's something that I definitely went into. My mom is in education. So she always said, hey, have something to fall back on. And substitute teaching is something I can always fall back on, regardless of what happens in the economy. They're always going to want teachers. So that was always my, how can I say?
Plan B.
Safety net. Yeah, plan B, safety net, all that. So, yeah, just worked all the type of jobs, to prepare for what I'm doing now without even knowing it.
Wow. I love that you said that, Akira, because I say the same thing, right? Working in the service industry, especially if you're in high school, college, early on in your career, it's going to teach you those people skills, man. And that is important, especially in sales, how to relate to people, how to connect with people, how to use your emotional intelligence to, diffuse, anger or whatever it is that may be sent your way. That is very important. And something that you said early, Akira, was that you're an introvert, right? So talk about that piece of it as well too. Like, many people probably look at me and say, you know what, Antoine, you're an extrovert. And I would say you got it right, 50-50, right? If I was to when I did my Myers-Briggs assessment and, personality assessments, I was really like on the line. More like 51 introvert, 49 extrovert. But I know how to turn it on, right? And that's what's important in a professional career, especially into things like sales. And what I find myself, with my personality is this: I don't like a lot of ruckus, right? So, I was the guy that when I was in college, my freshman year, I had a roommate. I no longer had a roommate after freshman year. Right. And I always lived by myself because I like to come home, have my own space and choose when I want people around. That's how I am as a professional as well, too. 18 years later after, graduation into the professional space, you was asking my wife, hey, you know what? Is Antoine an extrovert or introvert? Well, she'll say that Antoine knows how to turn it on. He knows how to turn it on. However, when he wants his peace is at home. Right? By himself, nobody else around but his family. So, the introvert of me, doesn't want people around a lot of the times, and I don't want to have to deal with people, right? But, the extrovert, I know how to turn it on whenever I need to. Talk about your personality. And, you said you're an introvert. Like, where are you on the scale? You think like 50-50? You think, way more towards introvert and 30% extrovert? Talk about you as a person.
I definitely would say probably about 60% introvert,
Mm,
40% extrovert.
mm,
Just growing up, you see all type of things, and a lot of people can be chaotic. And like you said, once you realize that, hey, I can control my space and what's going around me, and others could come in and disrupt my peace. And once I realized that, I was like, hey, I really feel as though it's best for me to stick to myself, and have my peace to be at home as well. So I'm very, very big on having my home being my peace.
mm,
That's very, very important. I
mm,
believe home is where you can recharge and get back out into the world, and you can become depleted. But when you come back home, you get to recharge again.
mm,
So, and another thing about being an extrovert, it was one of those things where I realized, hey, I have to do it. I have to do it. I cannot be successful staying in my shell and staying an introvert. Life just doesn't work like that.
mm,
Closed mouths do not get fed, and
mm.
that's just what it is. And just going back to playing quarterback, I really appreciate my dad for pushing me into the quarterback position, because if I would have stayed the route that I wanted to go to, I could have definitely remained an introvert. But playing quarterback, I had no choice but to be vocal,
Mm,
lead by not only example, but being a vocal leader as well.
mm.
So definitely had to develop those skills to become an extrovert, because I knew it would complement my professional career. But at the end of the day, I'm a true, true introvert at heart, for sure.
Look at that, guys. See, we have a true introvert talking about how he has learned the skills to learn how to turn it on, but also to go on to sales as well too. Because a lot of people say this, oh, Anton, I'm an introvert. I don't like to talk to people. Well, that's something that you can learn, you can overcome, right? And when it comes down to making money, if you want to make money and you're an introvert, consider tech sales, right? You can do cybersecurity, you can do data analytics and all this other stuff, and those are fantastic. But know this, that introverts are in sales as well. Akira is a prime example of that, right? He said he's about 70% introvert or 60% introvert and 40% extrovert or whatever it is, right? There's a place for you. One of the things, if you are a true introvert and you want to make money, you got to learn how to turn it on. You have to learn how to turn it on. And a way that you can learn how to turn it on is just like Akira said, and he said was working into lines of work that allow for you to do such a thing. Waiting, bartending, substitute teaching, being in front of people, dealing with people in their personalities, and so forth. So that's important.